who knows of like Billy the Kid and whatnot? I'm like, alright. Well, Pat Garrett was actually one of my relatives from, I don't know, I think he was like one of my great uncles, I believe. That's what I was told. So I did some research over him, and he's actually kind of pretty interesting guy. He was born in Alabama, and he grew up on a Louisiana plantation. In 1869, he left home and went to Dallas, Texas to find a job, and he ended up being a cowboy there. He stayed there for about 6 years and then left to go be a buffalo hunter. Well, 3 years into his occupation of a buffalo hunter, he ended up shooting and killing one of his, I guess, employees over an argument over buffalo hides. And the guy he was working with, I guess, chased after him with a hatchet, and I guess he used it as self-defense and I guess killed the guy. And then some other occupations he was an Old West lawman, a bartender, a saloon owner. He was a customs agent, and one of the last jobs he was a Lincoln County sheriff. And while he was a Lincoln County sheriff, he was tracked down and arrested a friend from his saloon, an old friend from his saloon, I guess, or an alleged friend. And the alleged friend was Henry McCarty, which was also known as Billy the Kid. Yeah, Billy the Kid was a jail escapee at that time, and he was a Lincoln County War participant, and he allegedly killed 21 men. And in his arrest, he was supposed to spend a year for every man he killed, but it ended up only being like around 9 years that he was supposed to serve. On December 18th of 1880, Garrett killed one of Billy's gang members. His name was his name was Tom O'Fallard, and it was in a shootout on the outskirts of Fort Sumner. And then on the 23rd of December, Garrett and his posse killed Charlie Boder and captured Billy and his companions and transported them to a jail in New Mexico. And about 6 months later, Billy escaped on April 28th. He then, I guess, ran away, and on July 14th, Garrett visited Fort Sumner to find out about his whereabouts, and found out that he was staying at a person's house named Pete Maxwell. So in the middle of the night, Garrett went to Pete Maxwell's house and broke in and was in one of the rooms, and Billy the Kid actually woke up in the middle of the night about the same time he had just gotten the house, and he woke up hungry, and he saw, I guess, a shadow of a man in the dark, and was wondering who it was, kept asking, who is that, who is that? Garrett replied with 2 shots to Billy, one hitting him in the chest right above the heart, and the other one missed and like hid behind the mantle. And that's pretty much what Pat Garrett was famous for, was really for that, but it ended up turning bad for him after a while, because a lot of people kind of thought that it turned out different, that Pat Garrett actually ended up tying a girl up in the house, and then like ended up, like, I guess, I don't know how to put it, but it was posted, I guess, a lot of people saw it as murder instead of like a good deed later on down the road. He then, after that, a few years later, around December in 1901, Garrett was actually became good friends with Theodore Roosevelt, and Theodore Roosevelt appointed him to be a customs collect of El Paso, Texas. He served 5 years, but he wasn't reappointed because he ended up coming to, I guess, like a Rough Riders reunion with one of his friends, Tom Powers, and Tom Powers was a notorious gambler and a drunk, and Pat Garrett got a picture with Tom Powers and Theodore Roosevelt, and I guess that ended up being bad publicity to the president. Garrett retired to a ranch in New Mexico after that, and he was suffering financial difficulties because he ended up being an excessive gambler and drinker as well. When Garrett died, he was actually murdered. He was supposedly murdered by a guy named Brazil over an argument of goats grazing Garrett's land, and the guy shot him in the head with a double-barreled shotgun that was actually Garrett's, that he carried around, I guess, whenever he traveled. And so after the guy shot Garrett, he ended up going to the sheriff's county office to alert the police, and there's still a lot of dispute over exactly what happened to Garrett as he died or how it happened, but pretty much, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool to have somebody in my, family tree that's somewhat of something that's been, an outlaw or, an outlaw man chasing that, so I thought that was pretty cool.